inside Michael Carrick's new midfield system that could transform Manchester United. Welcome back to Carrick United Analysis, the channel thousands of United fans trust every single week for honest, clear, and reliable breakdowns of our club. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel has become the true home for fans who want the full picture, without the noise and without the guessing games. Today we are doing something a little different, and it might just be one of the most exciting breakdowns we have done all summer, because we are going deep into the tactical system Michael Carrick appears to be building with his new look midfield. To unlock the full potential of this rebuilt midfield, Carrick is working with a highly fluid hybrid system, one that seamlessly shifts between a 4-2-3-1 shape when defending and a 3-2-4-1 shape when in possession of the ball. By combining the tactical maturity of new signing Youri Tielemans with the raw athleticism of fellow new arrival Andre Santos, Carrick has the tools to build a midfield capable of dominating possession, resisting heavy pressing, and giving Bruno Fernandes total creative freedom in the final third. Let us start with a big question right away. Why does a modern football team need a system that changes shape depending on whether they have the ball or not? The answer tells us everything about how sophisticated tactical planning has become at the very top level of the game, and it explains exactly why Carrick's new midfield setup has so many fans and analysts excited heading into this season. Today we are going to break down every single part of this system, piece by piece, so by the end you will understand exactly how Carrick plans to get the very best out of his new midfield. Let us get into it. Why a hybrid system makes so much sense. Before we dive into the specific details, let us think about why a manager would want a system that changes shape between defense and attack in the first place. Football has evolved enormously over recent years, and one of the biggest shifts has been toward positional flexibility, where teams adopt different structures depending on whether they have the ball or are trying to win it back. Here is a fair question to ask yourself. Why would a fixed, unchanging formation actually be a disadvantage in modern football? Think about it this way. When you are defending, you generally want a compact, well-organized shape that limits space for the opponent and protects your own goal. But when you are attacking and trying to build play from the back, you often want to stretch the pitch, create passing triangles, and overload specific areas to break down a well-organized defense. A single fixed shape struggles to do both jobs equally well. A hybrid system, shifting fluidly between shapes depending on possession, allows a team to get the very best of both defensive solidity and attacking fluidity. Breaking down the defensive shape. Let us start with how United are set up without the ball. In defense, Carrick's team organizes into a 4-2-3-1 structure. This means 4 defenders across the back line, 2 holding midfielders sitting just in front of them, 3 attacking players operating just behind the striker, and 1 central forward leading the line. Here is a question worth thinking about. Why is this specific defensive shape so effective at protecting the space directly in front of the back 4? The double pivot, meaning the 2 holding midfielders positioned just ahead of the defense, provides excellent cover for that dangerous central area, making it much harder for opponents to play straight through the middle of the pitch. This compact, disciplined structure allows United to defend with real organization, limiting central passing lanes and forcing opponents wide, where they are generally less dangerous. Breaking down the attacking shape. Now let us look at what happens once United actually have the ball. In possession, the team shifts into a completely different structure, a 3-2-4-1 shape. This involves 3 defenders forming the base, 2 midfielders sitting just ahead of them, 4 attacking players spread across the pitch, and 1 central striker at the top of the system. Here is a fair question to ask. How does a team actually transform from a back 4 into a back 3 once they have the ball? This is where the concept of fullback inversion becomes so important, and it is one of the most fascinating parts of this entire system. The possession blueprint. Understanding the 3-2-4-1 inversion. When Manchester United build play from the back, Carrick instructs one of his full backs to invert, moving inward to join the central defenders, and effectively create a back 3 during the build-up phase. This single tactical adjustment completely changes the shape and function of the entire team. Here is a question worth sitting with. Why would a manager want his full back to move inward, rather than staying wide in his usual defensive position? Think about the space this movement actually creates. By pulling one fullback inside, United immediately overload the central areas of the pitch during build-up, giving the team extra passing options through the middle and making it significantly harder for opponents to press effectively. It also allows the winger or attacking player on that same side to push higher and wider, occupying the space the fullback has vacated, creating a much more dynamic and threatening attacking structure overall. This kind of positional fluidity requires real tactical intelligence from every single player involved. It is not simply about running into open space. Each player needs to understand precisely when to invert, when to hold width, and how to time their movements in relation to their teammates around them. The deep double pivot, Tielemans and Mainu. Let us now look closely at the engine room of this new system, the deep double pivot formed by Youri Tielemans and Mainu. This partnership sits right at the heart of everything United are trying to build during the possession phase of play. Tielemans is set to act as the structural anchor of this entire midfield, sitting in a deeper position to dictate the overall tempo of the team's play and switch the ball from one side of the pitch to the other whenever needed. Think of him as the calm, composed conductor standing at the center of the entire midfield, controlling the rhythm of how quickly or slowly United move the ball around the pitch. Here is a question worth thinking about. Why does a team need a player specifically focused on controlling tempo, rather than simply having every midfielder try to move the ball forward as quickly as possible? Controlling tempo is one of the most underrated skills in modern football. Sometimes the smartest option is to slow the game down, recycle possession, and patiently wait for the right moment to switch play or find a forward pass. Tielemans' experience and composure make him perfectly suited to this specific disciplined role. Alongside him, Mainu is given a slightly different, more dynamic job. Rather than sitting purely as a defensive shield, Mainu is encouraged to drop into pockets of space between the lines, using his excellent ability to receive the ball under pressure and carry it forward through the opponent's first line of pressing. Here is a fair question to ask yourself. Why does it matter so much for a midfielder to be comfortable receiving the ball in tight spaces under heavy pressure? This particular skill, often called press resistance, is one of the most valuable qualities in modern midfield play. Teams that struggle to build through a well-organized press often end up forced into long, hopeful passes that give away possession cheaply. A player like Mainu, capable of receiving the ball calmly even when surrounded by opponents, allows United to break through pressing situations with control and composure rather than simply hoping to survive them. The advanced attacking line, Santos and Fernandes. With the defensive base secured by Tielemans and Mainu, the next layer of this system involves the more advanced attacking roles occupied by Andre Santos and Bruno Fernandes. Once United have progressed the ball safely through the first phase of build-up, these two players become responsible for creating danger in the areas that really matter, closer to the opponent's goal. Andre Santos is pushed higher into the right half space, operating as an energetic box-to-box presence within this more advanced attacking line. Meanwhile, Fernandes commands the left half space, given the freedom to pull the strings and deliver the kind of incisive final passes that United fans have grown to love watching him produce over recent seasons. Here is a question worth sitting with. Why do modern tactical systems increasingly favor players operating in these half-space zones, rather than staying strictly central or strictly wide? The half-space, sitting between the traditional central and wide areas of the pitch, has become one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in modern football. Operating from these zones gives attacking players far more passing angles and shooting opportunities, while also making it much harder for defenders to mark them using traditional, straightforward defensive structures. Understanding each individual role in detail. Now let us break down exactly what each individual player is being asked to do within this system, because every single role carries its own specific responsibilities. Youri Tielemans, the tempo regulator. Tielemans' primary job within this system is to replace the defensive build-up responsibilities previously carried by older, more experienced profiles in United's midfield over recent seasons. He effectively becomes Carrick's eyes on the pitch, recycling possession patiently and protecting the sensitive zone directly in front of the center backs. Here is a fair question to think about. Why is protecting that specific zone directly in front of the defense considered so important in modern football? This area is often described as the most dangerous space on the entire pitch for a defending team, since opponents breaking into this zone gain a direct line toward goal with minimal defensive cover remaining in front of them. Having a composed, intelligent player like Tielemans specifically tasked with screening this area gives United's backline an enormous amount of extra protection and confidence. Mainu, the deep linker Mainu, becomes the dynamic engine driving United's build-up play forward. Using quick, short passing combinations with Tielemans, his job is to help break through the opponent's midfield press before carrying the ball forward into the more advanced attacking phase of play himself. Here is a question worth asking. Why is the combination between a deep linker like Mainu and a tempo regulator like Tielemans so important for breaking down a well-organized press? Modern pressing systems are designed specifically to cut off easy, direct passing options. Having two midfielders who understand exactly how to combine through quick, intelligent passing patterns gives United a reliable method of escaping pressure, rather than being forced into rushed, risky long passes whenever opponents press aggressively. André Santos, the physical disruptor. Santos brings much-needed muscle and vertical driving power into this new midfield structure. Carrick appears set to use his enormous energy levels to immediately counterpress the moment United lose possession, while also using his excellent sense of timing to make dangerous late runs directly into the penalty box during attacking phases. Here is a fair question to consider. Why does a team need a player specifically focused on immediate counterpressing after losing the ball? The moments immediately after losing possession are often the most vulnerable for any team, since players can be caught out of position following an attacking move. Having a high-energy player like Santos, ready to press aggressively the instant the ball is lost, helps United win the ball back quickly, before opponents have the chance to organize a dangerous counterattack of their own. Bruno Fernandes, the free-roaming creator. Finally, we come to the captain himself. Freed almost entirely from deep defensive tracking responsibilities within this system, Fernandes is set to operate almost exclusively in the final third of the pitch. His role involves taking calculated risks, creating attacking overloads out toward the wings, and shooting from distance whenever the opportunity presents itself. Here is a question worth sitting with. Why might it benefit both Fernandes and the wider team so much to free him almost entirely from deep defensive responsibilities? Fernandes has always been at his most dangerous when given genuine creative freedom in advanced areas of the pitch. By building a solid, disciplined structure behind him through Tielemans, Mainu, and Santos, Carrick appears to be creating exactly the platform needed to let his captain focus purely on what he does best, creating and finishing chances in the areas that decide matches. Why this system could transform United's midfield. Let us step back now and think about why this entire system, when it all comes together properly, could genuinely transform how Manchester United play this season. Think about how each individual role connects and supports the others. Tielemans provides calm control and tempo regulation. Mainu links play together and breaks through pressure with composure. Santos adds physical energy, disruption, and dangerous late runs. Fernandes operates with total creative freedom in the most advanced areas of the pitch. Here is a big question worth thinking about. Do you believe this kind of clearly defined role-based system gives United a much stronger tactical identity compared to previous seasons? Many analysts following the club closely would say yes. Having every single midfielder understand exactly what is expected of them and how their specific role connects to those around them often produces far more cohesive and effective team performances compared to a squad simply relying on individual quality without a clear structural framework. Why full-back inversion adds extra attacking threat? Let us return briefly to that full-back inversion concept we touched on earlier, because it deserves a little more attention given how much extra attacking threat it can create. By having one full-back invert into a back three during build-up, United effectively create an overload in central areas, while simultaneously freeing up space out wide for wingers or advanced full-backs to exploit further up the pitch. Here is a fair question to ask yourself. How much harder does this movement make life for opposing defenders trying to track United's attacking players? The challenges this system could face. Of course, no tactical system comes without its own challenges, and it is worth being realistic about what could complicate this approach as the season progresses. A system this fluid and interconnected requires enormous tactical discipline and understanding from every single player involved. If any individual player misjudges his timing, whether that involves a fullback inverting too early or too late, or an attacking midfielder failing to track back quickly enough during a defensive transition, it can create exactly the kind of gaps that a well-coached opponent could exploit. Here is a question worth thinking about. How much time and repetition do you think a squad needs on the training ground before a system this detailed and interconnected becomes second nature during actual competitive matches? Systems like this typically take real time to bed in properly, often requiring a settled group of players training together consistently over an extended period. Given how much midfield rebuilding United have done this summer, patience may be required in the early stages of the season, while these new combinations continue to develop their understanding of one another. Why this reflects real tactical ambition. From Carrick. Even accounting for those challenges, This entire system reflects real tactical ambition and sophistication from Carrick as he begins his first full season in permanent charge of the club. Rather than simply relying on individual quality alone, he appears to be building a genuinely thought-out structural framework, one designed specifically to get the very best out of each individual player's unique strengths. Here is a fair question to consider. Does this level of detailed tactical planning give you more confidence in Carrick's ability to build a genuinely competitive Manchester United side this season? Many fans and analysts would agree that this kind of clear, well-considered system building reflects exactly the sort of modern, sophisticated coaching approach needed to compete with the very best teams across the Premier League and Europe. What to watch? For once, the season begins. As pre-season friendlies continue and the new campaign approaches, here are a few important things every United fan should watch closely. Watch for how naturally the full-back inversion movement develops during build-up play, since smooth execution of this specific detail will tell us a great deal about how quickly the squad is adapting to this new system. Keep an eye on the understanding developing between Tielemans and Manu in that deep double pivot, since their partnership sits right at the heart of everything this system is trying to achieve. And pay close attention to how much creative freedom Fernandes genuinely receives once competitive matches begin, since that freedom depends entirely on the platform being properly established behind him. This channel will continue breaking down every single detail of this system as pre-season progresses and the new season gets underway. From tactical analysis of early friendly matches to detailed breakdowns of how these individual roles evolve over time, Carrick United Analysis will be right here bringing you the full picture, explained in simple and honest language every single time. Wrapping things up. So there we have it. Michael Carrick appears to be building a genuinely sophisticated, fluid tactical system for Manchester United, shifting seamlessly between a 4-2-3-1 shape in defense and a 3-2-4-1 shape in possession. By combining the composed tactical maturity of Youri Tielemans with the raw athleticism and energy of Andre Santos, alongside the continued development of Kobbie Mainoo and the total creative freedom given to captain Bruno Fernandes, this midfield has the tools to dominate possession, resist heavy pressing, and create genuine danger in the final third. This is exactly the kind of detailed, thoughtful tactical planning that gives fans real reason for excitement heading into the new season. A clear structure, clearly defined individual roles, and a genuine plan for how every piece fits together, all pointing toward a Manchester United side built with real intention under Michael Carrick. Thank you so much for reading and for being part of this community here at Carrick United Analysis. If this breakdown helped you understand Carrick's new system a little better, please share it with fellow United fans who need the real story instead of guesswork. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, turn on notifications so you never miss an update, and drop a comment below telling us which part of this new midfield system excites you the most heading into the new season. We will see you in the next one, right here at Carrick United Analysis, your trusted home for honest Manchester United coverage. Glory, glory, Man United.